The massive hologram flickered to life above Times Square, drawing gasps from the thousands of people gathered below. Similar projections appeared simultaneously in every major city across Earth. The beings displayed in the projection looked almost human-like, but their blue skin and elongated heads marked them as definitely not from Earth. Admiral James Walker stood at the front of the United Earth Defense Force Command Center, his weathered face illuminated by the emergency lights. At 60 years old, he had prepared his entire life for first contact, but not like this. Not with these cold, demanding voices that now echoed through every speaker on Earth. "People of Earth," the alien speaker announced, his voice translated into all human languages simultaneously. "We are the Galactic Council, rulers of 5,000 star systems and guardians of civilized space for the past 50,000 years. The alien's expression showed what could only be described as disgust. "Your primitive world has been monitored for centuries. We have determined that you are not yet ready for self-governance." Walker's fists clenched at his sides. Around him, the command center staff worked furiously at their stations, analyzing the transmission and tracking the alien ships that had suddenly appeared at the edge of the solar system. The alien continued, "You will submit to council authority. Your resources will be managed by our oversight committee. Your military forces will be disbanded. This is not a negotiation." Colonel Peters, Walker's second in command, whispered, "Sir, we're detecting 20 ships entering the solar system. Advanced technology, but smaller than expected for an invasion force." Walker nodded slowly. "They don't expect resistance. They think we'll just roll over." The council representative was still speaking, listing demands and restrictions that would reduce Earth to nothing more than a mining colony. Walker had heard enough. He stepped forward and activated the emergency broadcast system that would let him respond to the projection. "This is Admiral James Walker of the United Earth Defense Force," he said, his voice calm but firm. "I speak for humanity today." He paused, looking directly at the alien projection. "The answer is no." The alien's expression shifted to what might have been amusement. "You don't understand. Primitive. We are not asking. Your species is young, barely out of its stone age by our standards. We have guided thousands of worlds like yours. Submission is inevitable." Walker smiled slightly. "You speak of our primitive nature, yet you've clearly misread us completely. Humanity doesn't submit. We don't bow to threats. And we certainly don't give up our freedom because someone claims to be our better." The command center's tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. On screens around the room, military forces worldwide moved to high alert. Hidden defense systems, carefully constructed over decades of preparing for this very possibility, powered up silently. "You have one Earth day to reconsider," the alien said. "After that, we will be forced to demonstrate our power." The hologram vanished, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. In the command center, Walker turned to his staff. "Send word to all commands. Operation Watchdog is now active. And get me the president." As his officers rushed to comply, Walker walked to the main window overlooking New York City. Below, he could see people flooding the streets, some panicked, others angry, but most simply stunned by what they had witnessed. "They think we're helpless children," he said quietly. "That will be grateful for their guidance." He turned back to the command center, his voice stronger. "But they don't know humanity. They don't know how we've spent the last century preparing for this possibility. They don't know about our hidden strengths." Colonel Peters approached with a secure phone. "President's on line 1, sir." Walker took the phone, his expression grim but determined. "Madam President." "Yes, I agree. They've shown their true colors." He paused, listening. "No, I don't think we should wait. If they want to test us, let them come. Humanity's ready." As he hung up, Walker looked at the tactical display showing the alien ships moving closer to Earth. They were in for a surprise. Humanity might be young by their standards, but they were about to learn that youth didn't mean weakness. The next 24 hours would change the galaxy forever. The 24 hours passed quickly. The Council's ships moved closer to Earth, their engines glowing with alien energy that human sensors had never seen before. But Admiral Walker wasn't worried. He stood in the Lunar Command Center, hidden 2 kilometers beneath the moon's surface, watching the enemy approach. "They're entering weapons range," Colonel Peters reported, her eyes fixed on the massive screen showing the solar system. 20 ships, spread in attack formation. "They're not even trying to hide their approach." Walker nodded. "Why would they? They think we're primitives with barely enough technology to reach our own moon." He allowed himself a small smile. "Let's show them how wrong they are." The lunar base was humanity's best-kept secret. For 50 years, countries had pretended to abandon lunar exploration, making it seem like they had lost interest. In reality, they had been building. The entire far side of the moon was now a massive military installation, hidden from both Earth and space. "All stations report ready," another officer announced. "Asteroid Defense Network is online. Mars base confirms weapons lock." The Council ships entered lunar orbit, probably preparing for what they thought would be a simple show of force. Their first warning that something was wrong came when their scanners suddenly stopped working. "Jamming field active," Peters reported. "They're broadcasting demands again." The Council's message boomed through the command center. "Your time has expired. Prepare for..." Walker cut the transmission with a wave of his hand. "Launch the drones." From 1,000 hidden craters across the lunar surface, small fighter drones shot into space. Each one was piloted by an AI that could react faster than any living being. The Council ships, caught completely by surprise, scattered in confusion. "First wave, engage," Walker ordered calmly. The drones opened fire with weapons that humanity had developed in secret, studying the few alien ships that had crashed on Earth over the centuries. Plasma beams and quantum torpedoes, weapons the Council thought impossible for primitives to possess, struck their ships. 3 Council vessels exploded immediately. The others tried to regroup, but they were surrounded. More drones launched from Mars, while hidden weapons platforms in the asteroid belt revealed themselves. "Sir," Peters called out, "they're trying to send a distress signal to their fleet." "Let them," Walker replied. "The quantum disruptors are in place. No transmission will reach beyond our solar system for the next 6 hours." The battle was shockingly brief. The Council ships, despite their advanced technology, had grown complacent over thousands of years of easy victories. They had no defense against weapons they thought their opponents couldn't possibly have. Within 30 minutes, 17 of the 20 ships were destroyed. The remaining 3 surrendered, their crews probably in shock at being defeated by what they had dismissed as primitives. Walker opened a channel to the surrendered ships. "This is Admiral Walker. Your vessels are now under Earth control. Any resistance will be met with immediate destruction." The Council commander who appeared on screen looked shell-shocked. "Impossible," he stammered. "Your species, you're not supposed to have this technology. The records show." "Your records are wrong," Walker interrupted. "We've been preparing for this day for a very long time. Every alien ship that crashed on Earth, every piece of technology we could salvage, we studied them all. We knew someone would come eventually." The alien commander's blue skin had turned pale. "The Council will not stand for this. They will send their main fleet." Walker's expression hardened. "Good, because we're not done showing you what humanity can do. Your ships are quite advanced, or at least they were. Our engineers are already taking them apart, studying them. By the time your fleet arrives, we'll know every weakness, every flaw in your technology." As the transmission ended, Walker turned to his staff. "Begin recovery operations. I want those ships stripped down and analyzed. And send word to Dr. Torres. She's about to get some new toys to play with." The lunar base hummed with activity as humanity prepared for the bigger fight to come. They had won the first battle, but the real war was just beginning. And humanity was ready to show the galaxy that underestimating Earth had been the Council's biggest mistake. Dr. Anna Torres hadn't slept in 3 days, but she couldn't care less. In front of her, spread across the massive laboratory under the Rocky Mountains, lay pieces of the captured Council ships. Every part, every wire, every strange device was a new discovery waiting to be understood. "Look at this," she said to her team, holding up what appeared to be a simple metal rod. "Their power systems don't just use normal electricity. They're channeling energy we didn't even know existed." Her eyes sparkled with excitement. "And we've already figured out how to copy it." The lab was a hive of activity. Hundreds of the world's best scientists worked around the clock, reverse engineering alien technology at a pace that would have seemed impossible just weeks ago. On the main screen, a countdown showed the estimated time until the Council's main fleet would arrive. 47 days. Admiral Walker entered the lab, looking impressed at the progress. "Dr. Torres, please tell me you have good news." She grinned, leading him to a testing chamber. "Better than good. Watch this." She pressed a button, and a shield of pure energy appeared around a test vehicle. "We've not only copied their shield technology, we've improved it. Ours uses 30% less power and is 40% stronger." Walker raised his eyebrows. "How is that possible? Their technology is thousands of years ahead of ours." "That's exactly why we could improve it," Torres explained, walking to a computer display. "They've been using the same designs for so long, they stopped looking for better ways. They forgot how to innovate." She pulled up a diagram. "Look here. Their shield generators waste energy because they're still using an ancient design. We started fresh, without their preconceptions." In another part of the lab, scientists were testing new weapons based on Council technology. The improvements were remarkable. Where the Council's weapons used brute force, human versions were precise and efficient. "We've also discovered something interesting about their FTL drives," Torres continued, leading Walker to another section. "They're not as fast as they could be. We found a way to modify the drive design that could make ships travel twice as fast." Walker looked concerned. "How are they going to react when they realize we're not just copying their technology, but making it better?" "They already know something's wrong," another scientist called out, pointing to a communication intercept. "Their sensors have detected our testing. The energy signatures are familiar to them, but different enough to cause confusion." Torres smiled. "Good. Let them worry. While they're trying to figure out how we got their technology, we're already moving beyond it." The next few hours were a blur of demonstrations. Human-modified shields that could change frequency to adapt to attacks. Weapons that could pierce Council defenses by exploiting weaknesses in their shield harmonics. New stealth systems that made ships virtually invisible. "There's more," Torres said, leading Walker to a sealed room. Inside was something that made even the Admiral's eyes widen. "We call it the quantum mesh. It can link all our ship's computers together, letting them work as one. No more delayed orders in battle. Every ship will know exactly what every other ship is doing, instantly." Walker studied the device. "Can they copy it?" "They can try," Torres laughed. "But good luck. We designed it based on human neural networks. Their computers don't work the same way. They'd have to rebuild their entire system from scratch." As they walked back to the main lab, Walker noticed something odd. "Why are there empty coffee cups everywhere?" Torres shrugged. "Side project. We reversed engineered their food replicators. Now we can make perfect coffee anytime. The team insisted it was a priority." She grinned. "Happy scientists work faster." Walker checked the countdown clock again. 46 days now. "Will we be ready?" Torres looked around at her team, all working with incredible focus and determination. "Ready? Admiral, we'll be so far ahead of them. They won't know what hit them. They thought they were coming to teach primitives a lesson." Her eyes gleamed. "Instead, they're about to become the students." In labs across Earth, similar scenes played out. Humanity wasn't just learning from alien technology. They were revolutionizing it. The Council had made a terrible mistake in thinking Earth would be an easy conquest. They were about to learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their weapons or shields, but their endless drive to improve, innovate, and overcome any challenge in their path. Commander Michael Reed floated silently in his stealth ship, hidden among the debris of a destroyed asteroid. Around him, 20 other ships waited in perfect formation, completely invisible to the approaching Council fleet. His crew didn't make a sound, though each one of them smiled as the massive alien ships moved closer to their trap. Just like fishing, Reed whispered to himself. He had grown up fishing with his father in Alaska, learning the value of patience and perfect timing. Now he was fishing for much bigger prey. The Council fleet moved exactly as predicted. They were so sure of their superiority that they always used the same battle formations, the same tactics they used for thousands of years. That made them predictable. And predictable enemies were the easiest to defeat. All ships, stand by. Reed broadcasted through the quantum mesh network Dr. Torres had created. No radio signals to detect. No way for the Council to know they were there. Remember, hit and run. Don't try to fight them head-on. The Council ships entered the asteroid field, probably thinking it would provide them cover for their approach to Earth. They didn't realize the entire field was a trap. Every large asteroid had been hollowed out and filled with surprises. Now, Reed commanded. The trap sprung. From inside dozens of asteroids, electromagnetic pulses shot out, hitting the Council ships before they could raise their shields. At the same time, Reed's stealth fleet decloaked and opened fire, targeting engines and weapons systems with surgical precision. Keep moving, Reed ordered as his fleet darted between asteroids. Don't let them predict your position. The Council fleet tried to respond, but they were trained for large-scale battles in open space, not this kind of close-quarters combat. Their big ships couldn't maneuver well between the asteroids, while the smaller human vessels slipped through tiny gaps, striking from unexpected angles. Group 2 hit their flagship, Reed commanded. Group 3, take out their communication array. Don't let them call for help. Human ships, using improved versions of Council technology, phased through solid asteroids, appearing where the aliens least expected them. The Council crews panicked, firing wildly at empty space while human vessels struck from behind. Their breaking formation, Reed's second-in-command reported, reading multiple system failures across their fleet. Reed nodded. Spring the next trap. Hidden mining drones, which the Council had ignored as simple industrial equipment, suddenly activated. They latched onto the alien ships, cutting through hulls with plasma torches originally designed for asteroid mining. Sir, his weapons officer called out, their admiral is sending out a general retreat order. Perfect. Reed smiled. Release the AI swarms. Thousands of small, intelligent drone fighters poured out from hiding places in the asteroid field. Unlike traditional fighters, these were unpredictable, each one making its own decisions faster than any organic pilot could react. The Council fleet tried to retreat, but they were surrounded. Their mighty ships, each one capable of destroying a small planet, were being taken apart by tactics they had never imagined possible. Sir, his communications officer reported, we're receiving surrender signals from 12 of their ships. Reed checked his tactical display. Out of the 50 ships that had entered the asteroid field, 20 were destroyed, 12 were surrendering, and the rest were trying desperately to escape. Not a single human ship had been lost. Accept their surrender, Reed ordered. Have Dr. Torres's teams ready for more salvage to study. He opened a channel to the surrendered ships. This is Commander Reed. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. The Council Admiral's voice came back, shaking with disbelief. How? How did you defeat us like this? We have the strongest fleet in the galaxy. Had, Reed corrected him. You had the strongest fleet. But strength isn't just about having big ships and powerful weapons. It's about how you use them. He paused. And you forgot the most important rule of warfare: never underestimate your enemy. As human crews began boarding the captured ships, Reed sent a message back to Earth. The test of their new tactics had worked perfectly. Now they were ready for the main Council fleet. Let them come with their massive ships and ancient tactics. Humanity would show them that the age of predictable warfare was over. Ambassador Thomas Gray walked through the massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber, completely uninvited and unannounced. The guards didn't stop him. They couldn't. Human stealth technology had advanced so far beyond the Council's sensors that they hadn't even known he was coming. The Council was in the middle of a heated debate about the human problem. Hundreds of alien representatives sat in the circular chamber, arguing about what to do after their latest fleet's devastating defeat. They fell silent as Gray walked calmly to the center of the room. "Greetings," he said, his voice automatically translated into every alien language. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything important." The head counselor, an ancient being with gray-blue skin, stood up in anger. "How dare you enter this sacred chamber?" "Guards." Gray smiled. "The guards can't hear you. We're broadcasting a special signal that keeps them peacefully occupied. Don't worry. They're perfectly safe. I just thought we should talk without interruption." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Many of the younger species representatives leaned forward, clearly interested. They had heard about humanity's victories, about how this primitive species had defeated the Council's best fleets. "I've come with a message," Gray continued, "and more importantly, with proof." He pressed a small device on his wrist, and holographic displays appeared around the chamber. "These are recordings from your own ships, showing how they attacked Earth without provocation, how they demanded our submission without any attempt at peaceful contact." The younger council members looked shocked. They had been told a different story about the conflict with Earth. "This is propaganda," the head counselor shouted. "These humans are dangerous primitives who need to be controlled." "Are we?" Gray asked calmly. He activated another hologram, showing human ships protecting a small alien vessel from Council attackers. "This is from last week. One of your peacekeeping fleets was attacking a refugee ship from the Outer Rim. Human ships saved them. We didn't know who they were. We just knew they needed help." The chamber erupted in discussion. Many representatives started sharing their own stories of Council aggression and control. "You see," Gray continued, "we've been watching and learning. The Council doesn't protect peace, it enforces submission. But we've also learned something else." He looked around the room. "Many of you don't agree with these policies. Many of you want change." A representative from a younger species stood up. "The humans speak truth. My world was forced to submit 3 centuries ago. We were told it was for our own protection, but they just wanted our resources." More representatives stood, sharing similar stories. The head counselor tried to restore order, but his authority was clearly crumbling. "We don't want to destroy the Council," Gray said firmly. "We want to reform it, to make it what it claims to be, a true partnership of species working together for peace and progress." He activated one final hologram, showing Earth's scientific advances. "Look what we achieved in just a few months when challenged. Imagine what all species could achieve if allowed to grow naturally, to develop without interference." The younger council members were nodding now. Even some of the older species looked thoughtful. "Humanity extends an offer," Gray announced. "Join us in creating a new council, one where all species have an equal voice, regardless of their age or technology level, where we help each other grow instead of forcing submission." The head counselor slammed his hand down. "You have no authority here. This is our domain." "Not anymore," Gray replied calmly. "The old way is ending. You can be part of the change, or you can be left behind. The choice is yours." As if to emphasize his point, human ships decloaked around the Council station, their advanced weapons making it clear that the old Council's reign of unchallenged power was over. "We'll give you time to discuss and decide," Gray said, walking toward the door. "Just remember, humanity didn't come looking for a fight. But if you force us to fight, we'll finish it. We prefer to make friends, but we're not afraid of making enemies." He left the chamber in silence, but behind him, the seeds of revolution had been planted. The galaxy was about to change, whether the old council liked it or not. Dr. Lisa Martinez stared at her computer screen in horror. For the past week, she had been studying the data cores from captured council ships, translating their ancient records. What she found made her blood run cold. "Admiral Walker," she called through the quantum comm, "you need to see this immediately." Within minutes, Walker and Ambassador Gray arrived at her underground lab. Martinez's hands shook as she brought up the translated documents on the main screen. "Look at this," she pointed. "The Council isn't just controlling younger species. They've been deliberately stopping their development for over 50,000 years." The screen showed detailed plans. Every time a new species reached a certain level of technology, the Council would either force them to submit or destroy them completely. Thousands of civilizations had been erased from history. "That's not even the worst part," Martinez continued, pulling up more files. "They seed primitive worlds with their technology, wait for it to be discovered, then use that as an excuse to invade, claiming the species stole their innovations." Walker's face darkened, just like they planned to do with us. "All those UFO crashes over the years weren't accidents," Martinez finished. "They were bait. They expected us to reverse engineer their technology slowly, giving them an excuse to claim we were thieves." Ambassador Gray studied the data, but their plan failed. "We developed too fast, too smart. We didn't just copy their technology. We improved it." Martinez nodded. "And now we have proof of everything they've done." She pressed a button, showing a map of the galaxy. Red dots appeared everywhere. Each red dot is a civilization they destroyed. Blue dots are the ones they enslaved. Green dots are the ones currently being monitored for future management. Walker leaned closer. "There are thousands of dots. The council members call themselves the Eternal Guardians," Martinez read from another file. "They believe they're protecting the galaxy from chaos by controlling evolution. Any species that develops too quickly or shows too much innovation is considered a threat." Gray's expression hardened. "We need to share this with everyone. Not just the council members, but every species in the galaxy." "Already working on it," Martinez said, moving to another console. "I've prepared a data package with all the evidence. Complete records, original council documents, everything. We can broadcast it through their own communication network." Walker looked concerned. "They'll try to stop us." "They can't." Martinez smiled grimly. "Remember those improvements we made to their communication systems? We didn't just make them faster. We added backdoors. They can't shut us out of their own network anymore." Gray nodded. "Do it. Broadcast everything." Martinez pressed a final button. Across the galaxy, on thousands of worlds, the truth began to spread. Council communication channels, public broadcasts, even their secure military frequencies, all of them carried the evidence of the Council's crimes. "Look at this," Martinez pointed to incoming data. "Rebellions are already starting on dozens of worlds. The suppressed species are rising up." Through their quantum network, they watched as the galaxy erupted in chaos. The Council's carefully maintained order began to crack. Ships from controlled worlds turned against their masters. Hidden resistance movements emerged into the open. "They're going to retaliate," Walker warned. "Hard." "Let them try," Martinez said, showing another screen. "I found something else in their data. The location of their automated defense networks, their hidden bases, their supply lines. Everything they've built over 50,000 years. We know all their secrets now." Gray smiled. "And we've already shared that information with every resistance movement in the galaxy." The quantum comm suddenly lit up with thousands of messages from across space. Species long thought dead or lost emerged from hiding. Others offered their support to Earth. The Great Revelation had done more than expose the Council's crimes. It had given hope to countless suppressed civilizations. Well, Walker said, watching the reports flood in, they wanted to keep the galaxy from changing. He smiled grimly. Instead, they're about to see the biggest change in galactic history. Martinez looked at her screens, where more and more worlds were joining the rebellion every minute. And this time, she said, they can't stop it. 1 year after the Great Revelation, Admiral James Walker stood in the newly constructed Galactic Assembly Chamber on neutral ground, a massive space station orbiting a star at the galaxy's center. The chamber looked nothing like the old council hall. Instead of rising tiers that placed the oldest species above others, all representatives sat in a perfect circle, symbolizing their equality. The old council is officially dissolved, announced the lead mediator, a member of a species that had hidden from council control for millennia. Today, we establish the United Galactic Alliance. Walker looked around the room. Representatives from over 3,000 species filled the chamber. Some came from ancient civilizations, others from worlds that had only achieved spaceflight recently. All had equal votes, equal voices. Dr. Torres sat beside him, reviewing data on her tablet. Their technological revolution hadn't stopped. Instead, it had spread across the galaxy as species shared their knowledge freely for the first time in 50,000 years. Look at these numbers, she whispered excitedly. The free exchange of ideas has advanced galactic technology more in 1 year than the Council managed in a century. Turns out freedom works better than control. Commander Reed, now leading the new Alliance Defense Force, joined them. The last Council holdouts surrendered this morning. They finally realized they couldn't win against the combined forces of a free galaxy. Ambassador Gray stood at the central podium, preparing to give Earth's opening speech. The human delegation had declined offers to leave the new alliance, suggesting instead a rotating leadership system where all species would take turns. Fellow beings of the galaxy, Gray began, his voice carrying to all representatives. 1 year ago, we gathered in fear and anger, united against oppression. Today, we gather in hope and friendship, united for progress. The chamber erupted in approving sounds from dozens of species. Walker noticed some of the former council members nodding too. Many had originally supported the old system out of genuine belief that it was necessary for galactic stability. The past year has proven what humanity always believed, Gray continued. That diversity breeds strength, that innovation comes from freedom, that the best way to maintain peace is not through force, but through understanding. Dr. Martinez, sitting nearby, pulled up images on her screen showing the incredible changes. Former council worlds now hosted universities where different species studied together. Trade routes crisscrossed space, carrying not just goods but ideas. Even the former council members who had chosen to join the alliance were contributing their ancient knowledge to help others. We face many challenges, Gray acknowledged. Rebuilding worlds the council destroyed, helping suppressed species reclaim their heritage, ensuring that power never again concentrates in the hands of a few. Walker smiled as he remembered their first contact with the council, just 1 year ago. They had called humanity primitive, threatened Earth with destruction. Now, human innovations were helping rebuild the galaxy. But our greatest achievement, Gray said, is not technological or military. It's the proof that different species, no matter their age or origin, can work together as equals. That wisdom doesn't come from age alone, and that sometimes the youngest among us can teach the oldest new ways of thinking. The chamber's approval was unanimous. As the session continued, Walker watched representatives from former enemy species working together, planning joint projects, sharing resources and knowledge. Not bad for primitives. Torres grinned beside him. Walker nodded. The council thought they were protecting the galaxy from chaos. They never understood that trying to control everything was causing the very problems they feared. The new alliance charter was displayed on giant screens. Freedom of development for all species, protection for emerging civilizations, open sharing of knowledge, and mutual defense against any who would try to dominate others. ready to head back to Earth? Reed asked. Walker shook his head, smiling. Not yet. I want to see this. Humanity's first steps as part of something bigger than ourselves. He looked around the chamber one more time. Besides, we have a lot of work to do. A free galaxy needs protection, guidance, friendship. And coffee, Torres added. Don't forget we're still the only ones who've perfected that replicator recipe. As laughter filled their corner of the chamber, Walker felt pride in what humanity had achieved. They had come into the galactic community fighting for survival. They would go forward fighting for something much more important, freedom for all.